welcome to Tim's Workshop out here in the mini shed. Continuing on with the VW 1965 1240 horse motor. Last video we got the engine case separated, got the crankshaft out and the camshaft, and kind of took a visual look to see where we're at on it. So far it looks pretty good. We got to get it all cleaned up and look for cracks and take measurements and everything to see if it's rebuildable or not, but right now it's looking pretty hopeful. We're going to get the fuel pump housing out. I already took the push rod out, distributor cam out of the case here. This piece for the fuel pump, it's brittle, and I don't know how wore out it is. A lot of people say once you take them out, you might as well just replace them anyway. But I've been doing some research on it. You got to get the VW one. If you get an aftermarket one, there's a hole in here for oil flow. For whatever reason, they didn't make the diameter right. That goes in this little housing on the inside. I'll show you. The oil flow hole in this piece that comes down in there, they put the hole in the wrong spot, and the little housing it goes into, it covers up the oil hole. So, hey, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe, leave comments, hit the notification bell if you like. Give me a thumbs up, okay? And let your friends and family know about my videos too. Alright, so let's get going on this. Get this drive gear out of there. Keep those washers out of there. There's the two washers. Okay, got that out of there. All right, looks good. Now to get the rest of this out, you just gotta kind of chip it out of there without ruining the inside of that housing. It takes a little bit, but I'll get it. Okay, got that. Now we need to get in there with something that won't destroy it. There we go. There we go. So got all that out now, and then when we clean it, you know, we'll get it all clean and through that. And one of the last things we do when we get the motor all back together is put that drive gear in there, and there's a way of doing that. And then the new plastic piece for the fuel pump, that'll go in last. The pin gets worn on these things. It goes in through the fuel pump, and that's why I wanted to show you. The pin has to be a certain length. When it gets worn down, it goes flat on the end and it's shorter, and it doesn't work like it's supposed to. So you want it so it's working good, and it has to be the right length for it to work right. You know, like I said, we'll get a new one and put it in when we put the new plastic piece in, and that should work really good. This is the end cap for the camshaft. This area here is known for corrosion, and I didn't check that when I took this apart, and it looks really good. It looks Yeah, there's no corrosion there at all. Right here, where the bottom of the engine is, where the oil plug goes in the oil screen. Look at that. No corrosion at all on this thing. So this is a good motor. It really is. For 1965. And it was actually March of 1965 I found out. I contacted somebody at Samba, and the guy looked it up for me. I gave him the number. It was a D944, whatever it was. He emailed me back and said, oh yeah, this is a March 1965 motor. Cool. I'm going to put all the lifters in this box here. I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to put it. Up there, I guess. Okay, then I'm going to get my magnet and get all these pins out of here. Huh. Not that one. Yeah. There we go. There's that one. I think I got a bigger magnet somewhere. I don't know where. I'll have to find it. Okay, got that one out. Now, so this pin, I can't get the pin out. So I got my torch, I found it, and we're going to heat it up and try my needle nose pliers. I got it. So that works. So if you ever have a problem getting stuff out, there you go. There's another pin that I need to get out, and it's on this other center bearing. There we go. So I got that out. I'm going to see if we can get this oil relief out of here. It's a single on this motor. A lot of people like the duals. This one only has a single. I'm getting the oil out of here on the pan, so that's good. So this big screwdriver has a fitting up here. You can get on this thing and turn it. Well, that's not going to work. You can see where I put the board, which kept pressure on this thing, so when I took that other bolt out so I could split the case, and this is how I did it. I wedged that in there and took the load off, which worked good. So I got this coming out. I was going to use vice grips, but there's no room to put vice grips on it, so I got my chisel and I just went around and like that until I got it loose. Hopefully you can see that. Now there's a spring in there, so I'm going to get this thing out of there, and then there's a spring. So we got that out, but we got to get this this sensor out of here. Okay, so we got that out. It's good. They didn't over torque it or nothing. I just took my crescent wrench, and it just came apart easily. So we're good on that. Got all this stuff out of here. Got the oil relief and the spring. Got the pins out. This thing is basically ready to clean up, but these 8mm studs, I'd like to pull them out, and that way I can clean them really good, and then put them back in with the jugs heads and do a test torque on it to make sure these things aren't going to pull out after I go through all the work of putting it all together. I think I'll do that after I clean it, because I really need to inspect it and do all that before I worry about this stuff. Because if the case is no good, why bother with that, right? Let's turn this upside down, just let the oil drip out of there. This is the pin I wanted to show you, and this pin is supposed to have a round top to it, and it's flat, so it's wore out. And the way this thing works, this goes in here and this comes in this way, in this plastic piece that I had to chip out of there because it was so brittle and old. They only cost like $4 for a new one, so, but you got to get the right one, like I said earlier. So this goes in there like this, and this goes in there, and then this rides against this cam here, and this cam is thicker on this end than this end here. So when it rides, it makes the pin move up and down like that. So that's how that works, but it needs a new pin. So we're going to get that ordered. And then the other thing I wanted to show you, I got the sensor out. It goes right here, like that. So this thing, it'll break. Magnesium aluminum case, it'll crack it if you over torque this thing. So when I went to take this out, I used my crescent wrench. It just no problem at all. So whoever put it in, probably the factory, they put it in at a real low torque. West Germany, it says right on there. W Germany. Pretty cool. And then the other thing I wanted to show you, all this stuff comes off this side of the motor, which is kind of convenient. So when I pulled this plug out with the spring, this piece is still in there, right? This is the plunger. Yeah, I got to make sure which way it came out. Look that up to make sure. This puts tension against this plunger, and then the oil pressure will push this plunger up and down, and there's a hole on the inside that lets oil flow through there. So that's how that works. It's called pressure oil relief, and this is the plunger. And the way to get the plunger out, I just took a magnet, put it up there, and it pulled it right out. Okay, so I got both of those out. I just got back from Harbor Freight, and I got myself a set of micrometers for measuring outside diameter, and it's 4 digits, so it measures in 10,000ths. That's perfect for this. I also got some telescoping inside diameter measurement tools. I got those instead of a bore gauge because these things are accurate enough for this kind of work. If you're in the machine shop, then yeah, you need a bore gauge. But for me to just see what the measurements are currently with the new bushings before I put them in, to make sure that the clearance is there for the new bushings, so when they all go together, they're not going to hit each other. You got a little bit of air gap in there. And it's supposed to be like 2,000ths clearance. Yeah, I can measure that myself, and I don't need somebody to measure that for me. So these tools will be able to do that. So after I get the cases cleaned up, then we're going to start measuring everything. But one thing that will really kill the whole thing is when I put these case halves together and torque down these 6 bolts here and these 3 here, and get those torqued down. If there's a daylight coming through there, you shine your flashlight through there from both ends. If there's daylight, then you need to measure it. You can have a slight gap. It's better if you don't have any daylight at all. But if you have some daylight, you get in there with your shim stock. You get in there with your shim stock and measure the gap. And there's only a allowance of, like, I don't know, 2,000ths maybe at the most. If you're up around 5 to 7 thousandths gap, you're done. it'll just put too much wear on these bearings if you have too much gap. And then the engine's not going to last that long. But, am I going to throw the case away? No. I'm going to build it anyway. Just for fun. I'm not going to sell it to anybody. Hey, if I can get it running, if it runs for a while, that's all I care about. And then if it blows up, it blows up. So I'm not going to throw the thing away. No way. If I want to sell it to somebody, I want it to be right. And I'm not going to spend a fortune on this thing either way. I'm going to put some new bearings in it. I'm going to reuse the same cam, same lifters. I'm going to buy new jugs and pistons for it, and rings, and then some other stuff, you know, that I have to get it running, you know. But, yeah, that's the plan. So that's it for part 8 of the this Volkswagen motor. What we're going to do now is in part 9 we'll get it pressure washed and cleaned up and start actually taking some measurements. I got my whiteboard down here that I can put all the numbers up. That'll be kind of fun to do. And once all the measurements are done, everything's clean, start getting some parts in, you know, to start rebuilding this thing. Oh, I know. Once the measurements done, it's all cleaned up, and we know where we're at on the measurements, I'm going to take it up to get it line bored. Then we'll be good to go. All right.